It's like I have to do everything without moving around too much, but you guys know this is all pretty new for me. I'm not like the most experienced, but good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. All right. Now let's get started. I only have an hour, really, basically, to do what I need to do. Of course, we all have a lot of things to do today. I don't know about you, but I just came from playing tennis, and earlier this morning I went for a jog. So the day is always going to be full. But right now, you see the title, and today what we're going to be talking about, okay? Let me get you closer to me. For anybody who actually all right, we're back. All right, guys, so today's a little busy or whatever, but basically, right now, we're going to be talking about, welcome, though, everybody. Welcome to the chat. All right. And today we're talking about something that I feel is very important. A lot of people have not been thinking about. Okay. Let me get you a little bit closer. It's a lot of angles here. All right. A lot of people haven't been thinking about, and that is people wasting time. And I'm not trying to waste anybody's time at all. So welcome to the chat, people. If you're in here right now, I want you to stay. Okay, stay with me. All right, people? Let me just turn this off because I know it's going to be a lot of people listening. But look, all right? There's always a lot of people listening. But we have to start taking consideration about the type of people that we surround ourselves with and how they're influencing us, okay? So today we're going to be talking about changing your atmosphere, changing everything that you're doing. Hey, what's up? How you doing, people? All right, we're going to be talking about that. And I'm trying to get me some good angles here, but it seems like it's really hard, okay? But just bear with me. It's like, it's been a minute, right? Mother's Day was wild, okay? So if you're in here right now, I want you to know one thing for sure, okay? I want you to know this, people. I want you to know that this is one of those conversations, people, that a lot of people don't want to have, but it's necessary, okay? We have to have this conversation, right? This conversation is about changing your life. It's about doing the things that you were meant to do. We often find ourselves caught up in what's going on in between our friends and different circles, whether it's at work or if it's at school or something like that. And I'm just changing things around. And a lot of times people act like when you change things around, you're like not participating, you're not a part of the team. And everybody wants to be a team player, but I'm gonna tell you right now, you're playing on the wrong team, because the only team you need to be playing on is your team. And you're the team leader of your team. And that means whatever you see people doing, if it's not something you wanna do, why are you doing it? That's what we really need to think about. So let me ask you something, and I need you to really think about this question when I ask you, okay? Are you actually living your life? Are you living your own life right now? That's something you really have to think about. Are you living for somebody else? Do you spend a lot of time taking care of people and not taking care of yourself? Sometimes we'll get lost in that, and we'll end up taking care of so many people, we'll forget to take care of ourselves. How can you help someone if you can't help yourself? How can you, if you have a family member out there that needs your help and you drain yourself, how are you going to help them? If something happens to you and you get sick, then and you can't help them because you overworked yourself. Let's not overwhelm ourselves. Everything in life is about moderation. If I eat too much watermelon, I just might explode. If you drink too much water, these things can happen. So we have to be a little more moderate and considerate. And I'm also telling people, don't forget, you need to take a notepad and start writing these things down, because this will be a reminder. I don't care if you have to put a Post-it on your refrigerator to remind yourself to remember to take care of you every day. That's how we take care of everybody else, okay? Mother's Day was just yesterday, and, you know, mothers do so much work, and they could burn out. And if they burn out, who's going to take care of the kids? Who's going to get them to school when mom's down? So moms out there, don't forget, you deserve to take your breaks as well. Sometimes you need a little break, and don't feel guilty about it. It's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be moderate, and you're teaching that to your children as well, not to put everybody before themselves. You know, you'll put yourself out, then the door's closed. So what we're doing today is we're going to start focusing on making a change, because it could happen to anybody. It happens to me all the time. Just look where I'm at. I'm in New York City. Every day is constant influence everywhere we go. And if you're on social media, you're influenced. Even if you're saying you're not influenced, like I'm just watching the commercial. I'm not really influenced by the commercial. No, it's influencing me slowly but surely. Next thing you know, you'll be singing ba-da-da-da. Just like I did for a moment. I heard that going down, closing a lot of stores. Let's get right to it, all right? All right, are you actually living your life, or are you repeating? Are you repeating what you've been exposed to your whole life, okay? Sometimes we have to think about that, because look at this, people, all right? Look, most of us, okay, most people think they're making independent choices, but they're not making independent choices at all. You think it's your choice, and it's not. If it was, then that's exactly what you would be doing. Because, look, there's a pattern. There's always patterns. You have to start noticing the patterns, okay? We all talk about the algorithm. It's a real thing. There are patterns out there. And if you get too caught up in a pattern, you know, if you get too caught up in a pattern, then eventually you could get lost in the sauce. You know, I have a friend that, you know, is new to the town, but he found some good areas where he could sit peacefully and relax. But slowly but surely, that has become his staple. Those 3 locations he set. He always goes to those same locations. He hasn't even explored the city yet. I'm waiting for him to explore the city. Okay? But that's how it can happen. You'll stick to a pattern. You know why people stick to a pattern? Comfort. It's comfortable. Why would you want anything to change when you already find yourself going through a routine? You know, like currently I'm right here in this office right now. This cannot be my routine to always constantly go this place, that place, or whatever. You know, some people go to the library, but guess what? There's other libraries. Have you been to the business library? There's plenty of libraries. There's libraries all over the city. And then there's like endless options of things that you could do in the city. Find your hobbies, whatever you want to do. Just do something more that's focused on what you're into. So let's pause for a second. Okay, let's pause for a second. How many of you thought like your thoughts were actually your own personal thoughts? Like it was just your idea to do this, that, or the third. Like, you know, it was your idea to go to Popeyes, and your idea to buy that Nike tech suit. How many people thought, I wonder how many people thought that was just all you? No influence. Something you just decided to go outside and go buy a pair of Adidas. Do you feel that was like you making a decision yourself? Or do you feel somehow social media or commercials might influence you to get in your car and go to the mall and buy that? That's what we have to look at, influence. You get a phone call from a friend and you might not be interested in going out. They are influencing you when they tell you about it. Come on, girl, come out. Yeah, that's influence. So a lot of times when people feel like, okay, I'm making this decision myself, sometimes there's people on the side trying to influence you and help you make your decision. And don't let nobody else make a decision that you need to be making yourself. Okay? So if you remove your friends, all right? Let me tell you this, all right? You might have to remove some friends, all right? Like, listen, a lot of times there's just echoes of people. There's a whole bunch of echoes of people's places and environments all over the world, all right? And if you just pay attention, the algorithm is feeding all of this into your ears, all right? And if you don't see it, if you don't hear it, you can have shades on this. You're going to see it on somebody's t-shirt. You're going to see it on a commercial. You could turn off the TV. You could say you don't listen to TV, you don't listen to news, and you don't even watch movies. And you think you're not influenced. You're still influenced by what you see in your society. I don't know about you, but there's signs everywhere. Colors are influenced. Even colors are influenced, okay? But there's labels and signs, and the city you might not think is strategically placed, but it's strategically placed. This is how people are making money. Advertising is a big, big business. And this is how they make money, by influencing you and making you feel like it was your idea, not theirs. It was your idea, not theirs at all, okay? So let's just think about this. You have to start removing your friends. Yep. Removing some things in your environment and everything you consume online. Remember, if it doesn't serve you, you might need to take a break. I'm not saying cut people off. We might have to tell people, okay, I need to take time for myself to evolve and do what I need to do in my life, okay? That's just consideration. People should have that consideration to let you take a break. Especially a lot of times, I like me myself, I deal with people constantly telling me that they're into everything I'm into. If I like chicken, they like chicken. If I like the knit, they like the knit. If I like the sew, they sew too. I'm a race car driver. NASCAR. Yeah, they love it. If I play hoops, oh, they're a ball player. Yeah. If I'm a foodie, they mukbang all day. But it's not really true. People just latch on to ideas that they want to do themselves. Very often people try to live vicariously through other people. So they'll tell you, oh, I'm into this, I'm into that. But what they really want is for you to push them to do those things, because they're not ready to even do that. And they're thinking like, okay, maybe I'll latch on to a buddy that's already playing football and actually start playing and have somebody to play with or whatever. But look, it's all influence, people. All right, so how much of your personality would still exist? Listen to this, all right? If you removed your friends, your environment, and everything that you consume online, how much of your personality would still exist? How much? Think about that. All right? How much of your personality would still exist? All right? So let's talk about your personality. All right? We're going to go deeper, people. Most people don't even realize this, okay? But personality, it's crazy. I'm working with these angles or whatever, but look, personality is not about, not fully self-created. All right, people? A lot of it is exposure. What you're around. All right? Think about what you're around. What got you, like all excited? Stuff that you repeated, things that you was rewarded for. What got accepted? And over time, people, that becomes who you are. But here's what people don't like to hear. Okay? This is something that people don't want to hear. But here's the part, people, you really need to hear. Just because something feels like you, doesn't mean that it started with you. It can feel like you, but it doesn't mean it started with you. And let that sit for a second, okay? You didn't choose everything you like. You think you chose everything you like. Even when you was a child, your parents were influencing you and giving you peas and porridge and buttoning your shirt up to the top of the collar. You were influenced to sit a certain way and have certain manners, okay? So people and places and things actually influence and build you to who you are. And if you have children, you should know that they're building their little personality. By the time they're 5 years old, they already have a little bit of a personality right then and there, based on the influence. So you have to be careful about the influence you have around your children as well as yourself. Okay? So let's talk about people, all right? Because this is where it gets even more real. This is where it gets real, people. Most people adjust themselves without even noticing. They just adjust. You don't notice it right away. You just start changing and you evolve into maybe something you just don't even choose to be. You start making adjustments and making exceptions for people, places, and things. And one day you're just comfortably sitting by an ambulance with a siren wailing in your ear and you can't even hear it anymore because you have adjusted to it. Okay? Be careful what you get comfortable with. Okay? You know, these things matter because this is where it gets weird, all right? You know, different tones of voice, different humor, all right? Different opinions and different energy, okay? Those things matter. It will influence you and affect you. I'll tell you right now, sometimes when I'm talking to people like this, they seem to be very calm, but I can also talk like this, and then it will give you a different response, wouldn't it? So something to think about, all right? Just depending on who's in the room. And people think that's just personality. No. A lot of times that's survival behavior. That's adaptation, all right? That's fear of rejection, okay? A lot of people fear rejection because nobody wants to feel like they're left out, all right? So instead of being who they truly are, they spend a lot of time trying to become what the room wants to accept. And that is where everyone just looks the same. You know, the scariest part is nobody is forcing you to do anything. You're just afraid that you won't belong. And that's, you know, you have to be yourself. And that's what's the most important thing. There's too many people they want to be exactly the same. People get a job in an office and they see everybody's wearing a white shirt, button collar, long sleeve, and whatever, with the same gray slacks, black shoes. So they go out there and they go do the same thing because they want to belong to something. And, you know, they say in business, it does build something up when everybody kind of goes on the same kind of vibe and wavelength. So that's something to think about it, you know. That's why I always tell people you have to study psychology so you know a little bit more about how this is influencing you and changing you, all right? Your environment is programming you. Yeah. You know, I've been living in New York City a long time, and I've lived in a lot of beautiful neighborhoods, but I've decided to move to this wild, wild west neighborhood, and I find myself going out the back door in and out because I just don't want to look at it. I don't want to hear the sirens. I don't want to see the police. Look, I don't even want to say police. I'm like police, period. All day. That's all they do. They're yelling and screaming. There's bottles. You should have seen how much they had to clean this morning. Okay? It gets crazy. But they do the same thing every day. They exit the building. They go to the liquor store. They walk around the projects. And then they sit down and say, this is boring. Then they do it again tomorrow. And the next day. And the next day. And if I ever ask them, hey, they're like, where are you going? I'm going to the beach. And they're like, oh, well, would you want to go to the beach? Oh, no, I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to leave because comfort. People are scared of change because little changes scare people. So I've taken people with me from my area with me to Harlem, and they seem to they just start changing. It's like, look, guys, it's like they feel like something bad is going to happen to them if they go out into the world. They feel like something's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen to you. You're going to be fine. One borough is no different from the other borough. But I'll tell you one thing, maybe they have a little more manners in one borough than the other. So the games you play in the Bronx, you probably can't play that in Harlem or Brooklyn. But you should know better, right? You know, as an adult, as an adult. All that wild behavior and throwing bottles on the floor and stuff. Yeah, people that got to clean it and standing there looking like, man, you better pick that bottle. I'm just joking, but I'm serious. Your environment can program you. So, man, it really makes a difference. So I'm going to tell you personally, before I even go right back into the line, look, what I've been doing personally myself is I made sure that I get myself a good gym membership and a good doctor. And when I say a good membership and a good doctor, I'm not talking about down the road. You should not be a victim of your circumstances. I never even let my children be a victim of circumstances. They went to school all the way downtown, okay? All the way downtown. Yeah, whoever the hell. No. All the way downtown. So what I say is always get yourself a really good gym membership. If you're in New York City, I do have some suggestions too. All right. You need a luxury gym. So Lifetime, Sky, at Chelsea Piers, and the Mercedes Club. Top tier, best pricing. And I used to go to New York Health and Racquet Club. You know, it's good, better for the older crowd. They play like a lot of jazzy music and they have a yacht. But if you're a younger person, I believe Lifetime Sky is where it's at. They don't have a yacht, but they got a rooftop and they serve martinis. Okay. So check that out. If you do the math, these luxury gyms really only cost about $4 a day. It's the price of a bagel. So yeah, you can get a gym membership. So I suggest you go get a tour. And I'm telling you, change your environment or go to a community room. Sign up to a community room. Find out where your local community room is and go there instead of going here or there, wherever. And then also with your doctor, I don't know about you, but it really makes a difference when you go to a really good hospital. So I suggest you always, and even like with your water, a lot of people are drinking tap water and you have to be careful. Like where I'm at right now, where I'm at right now, they call it Chirac, they call it Vietnam, and now they're calling it Flint because the water is bad. So you have to think about how you want to live your life, because you can treat yourself like a celebrity if you choose to, okay? Put it like this. You are a superstar. You're your own superstar, correct? So treat yourself as such. Get yourself a good doctor. Get yourself a good gym membership. Sign up for a massage, physical therapy, everything. Pamper yourself. And if you need to talk to somebody, reach out, talk to somebody, or sign up with an online therapist so you can talk to somebody. But these things are actually healthy things to do to make sure that your environment, make sure you have feng shui in your life. Every part of your life, you want to have some feng shui. Okay? So listen to this carefully, people. Your environment is also is a way. Look, your environment is always talking to you, even when nobody is speaking to you. Nobody has to be speaking to you for your environment to be trying to change everything for you. I told you they'll influence you with the cars passing by, the logos on the car, logos even on my clothes right now. You probably want to get something like this because you're seeing the logo and you're probably going to get commercial advertising just from that. But look, what you see every day becomes your norm. You see it every single day, it becomes normal. I'm sure if you're new to New York, you saw a homeless person and he took his clothes off, and the first time you saw it, you went crazy, right? You went crazy, like, oh my gosh, you covered your eyes, you ran away. I've been living in New York so long, I just walk right by because I'm so used to seeing people looking like that I'm not even going to, I'm not going to be bothered by it. I'm just like, yeah. He can ask me for directions probably. I wouldn't even notice that he has no clothes on because I'm so used to being in New York City. You know, when you smell something from far away, you know what to do. When you see an empty car, you already know it's like a norm. That's his car. That's his train car. You know what I'm saying? So you get used to things and it's just how it happens. It becomes your standard, as a matter of fact. Sometimes when I go downtown, I expect to see people going crazy and screaming. When I go to my neighborhood, I expect to hear a siren. When I don't hear sirens in the morning, it's suspicious to me because I'm so used to it. I have adjusted to my environment so much so that I'm used to hearing sirens. Imagine that. And we'll go into that deeper because I'm on another live, because I'm going to tell you right now, your senses actually influence your behavior, and it can mess with your emotions and your plans and your focus and everything that you're doing in life. That's why a lot of times people keep their headphones on and they're not even listening to anything, but they need to hear their own thoughts. So they close things out. It really does enhance like your focus, but you got to be careful. Don't do that when you're crossing the street, right? All right. So let's go right back to it. What your standard is becomes your identity. And that's how quiet conditioning works. It happens when you're in a relationship. You think you're making decisions, and come to find out, you're just being conditioned to follow what he wants you to do. So you have to be careful, because you can easily be conditioned to live a certain way. And it's not the way you want to live. You're living the way someone else is telling you to live. All right? And I'm telling you, that's how quiet conditioning works. And it's not loud. And it's never obvious. Never obvious. It's just consistent. And you just get used to it. Like somebody telling you to go to the store, go to the store, go to the store. You just get used to going to the store. So much so, they don't even have to ask you anymore. You're asking them what they want. Now you're a store runner because you got conditioned and used to going to the store. Now you're the store guy. That's what happens. It'll just happen. So if you grew up around, let me tell you this, guys, if you grew up around limitations, success will feel uncomfortable at first. I don't know about you, but I grew up around some limitations. As a matter of fact, honestly, I didn't even know I had limitations. I think that's how my parents did it. I thought I had everything in the world. Nobody could have had more than me. You have to think about it. When you're young, you don't really know any better. You know what they tell you. So a lot of times children really don't even know the limitations because their parents don't break stuff like that down to them. But I see nowadays people are starting to do that, which I don't suggest, because you actually give people more stress. Like if you cannot pay the rent, I don't think you should be telling your 12-year-old child that you can't pay the rent, because, like, God forbid they go out there and try to go get the money. You you was going to go there into the office and go figure it out, I'm sure. But why would you don't tell young people things that's going to stress them out. You think like they just have it easy, so you want to just that's almost like throwing a stone. Okay, so I don't suggest that. Never even do that. And that's just a side note, people with kids. Like, don't even tell them stuff to remind them they have limitations. Me personally, I didn't even know there was a limit. Okay? If I went to the dollar store and I bought 50 items, I thought I was a superstar. You couldn't tell me I wasn't rich. I bought everything in that dollar store. Okay? So remember that, okay, people? Remember, success will feel uncomfortable at first if you grew up with limitations, but it's up to you to own it. Remember, if you worked that hard to get where you are and it's time for you to be rewarded, accept it. Okay? That's when you need to start adjusting and get more comfortable and understanding, like, when you put effort in, you deserve a reward. This is how we get to the next level. Okay? People always say it's willpower. Willpower. Oh, I have willpower. Yeah. Just be disciplined and you can do anything and go anywhere, right? But look, it's not that easy. You can't just change overnight. I try to tell people you can't change overnight, and they try to prove me wrong. They go by just imagine you got to work out. They want to get in shape. So in order to get in shape, they think they're just going to do everything overnight. So they're going to buy the Nike Tech suit. They're going to buy the good sneakers. They're going to get the good headband and the good thing. But look, it's not happening overnight. Because I'll tell you right now, I went outside today to play tennis. My goal, 2 hours. What did I do today? 30 minutes. I'm tired. I was dehydrated. But tomorrow, maybe 45. in a couple, maybe in 2 weeks, I'll be doing 2 hours easy. Might even bring a yoga mat, take a break. Okay? So everything has to grow. It's not going to happen all at once. When people have ideas, they build on ideas. So build on your dreams and build on your own personal goals, hobbies, interests. Build on that. You can't be like, a lot of times people are latching onto you. You're not even noticing that they're just latching onto you and distracting you from what you're supposed to be doing right now. Okay? So that's why I had to come in here on this live and just to break it down to you, because people always just say, have willpower and be disciplined and change your life. But they don't understand what they're asking you to do. All right? You're not just fighting habits, all right? You're fighting repetition. Okay? That's what we have to think about. All right? Automatic reactions. All right? You're being conditioned to respond a certain way. A lot of times people will come at me aggressively, right? Now, you know what they say, match energy. So people match in energy. So what I'm doing, they expect when they come at me aggressively that I'm supposed to come back at them aggressively. So what I do is I have nothing to say. It's just, I might turn my head. Oh, don't make it be a cop. Oh, I just might faint. Okay? I can't do it. I just can't do it. You know, choose what you want in your life, okay, people? You know, change doesn't happen overnight. And I know it's not reality, but I'm going to tell you one thing. I'm not going to let anybody distract me. That's what they've been doing. A lot of people are distractors, all right? And remember one thing, you're not weak at all. You're not. You're just fighting an invisible program, all right? You know, a lot of people don't see it. But if you hear people talking about the algorithm and all of that, that's what they're talking about. A lot of people that you're hanging out with might be influenced by the algorithm. So it's low key like, look, you think they're trying to change you into something changed them. And they see all the good in you, but they're influenced by this. And they're standing there in a pit of fire, right? And you're water, and they want to stand next to the water, okay? But then at the same time, you're gonna be dried up, and you're gonna be in the same boat as them. You're gonna be in the same boat. So always try to make sure I tell my good friends to wake up, because it's time to wake up, people. We can't have all of this confusion going on. A lot of times, people are getting caught up with social media, and it's like it's always something going on. Celebrity drama, the news, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, politics. You're going a little bit too far. What about you? Okay, it's time that we wake up, and you know something. Look, you're just fighting the programming, and then look, something starts happening to you. You know what happens? You start noticing things differently. You will. You'll start noticing things differently. Things that used to feel normal to you start feeling off. You start feeling uncomfortable in spaces that you once felt comfortable in. It just doesn't serve you anymore. That's where you need to be at. When you finally feel like, this is not where I want to be. I want to change something. Okay? People don't always understand you. Okay? People are not going to always understand. All right? Your interests will shift. One day, I could be all into football. Next week, I'm all about golf. I might change things. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. You know, I'm doing content today. Maybe tomorrow, I don't want to do content. I want to read books, whatever. It's what I want to do, all right? But your interests will shift, and your thinking will start changing, and you might think something's wrong with you. You know, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong now. You're just becoming more aware of your energy and your interests. And you're clearing the noise out of your head so you can actually think. If you want to be a ballerina, you could go ahead and be a ballerina. But see, if you say it out loud, somebody might laugh, right? So why are you worrying about what everybody else thinks when you're supposed to be living your own life? We're trying to live in this world where we actually complete everything that we want to do, okay? Not what everybody else want to do. So the moment, let me tell you something else, all right? Things will start feeling off, your interest will shift, all right? But nothing is wrong, all right? You're just becoming aware of your surroundings, and awareness changes everything. That's good, all right? Awareness is good. Told you it's all about being intentional and being aware. All right. So the moment you see it, you can't unsee it. It's too late. All right. So now comes the part most people avoid: rebuilding. We have to continuously rebuild, repair. Okay. Not becoming something new. We're not trying to become something new. You think I could just put on a suit and some glasses and all of a sudden I'm Clark Kent? No, it's just not happening like that, all right? I'm trying to become a better me, So, but what we have to remember is removing what wasn't yours. Remove what wasn't yours. That's where identity actually starts. Now, when you add more, but when you strip away what doesn't belong to you, and yeah, that's the part that feels weird. When you strip away what that doesn't belong to you, you start to feel better, all right? You're not starting over though, okay? You're starting for the first time as yourself. That's the goal. To start for the first time as yourself, okay? So I want you to be honest with yourself right now. Be honest with yourself right now, people. No performance, no ego. Just real reflection. Are you actually living your life? Think about that. Are you living your life how you want to live your life? Okay? Or are you continuing a version that someone else started for you? Something to think about. Think about that. Are you actually living your life? Or are you continuing a version that someone else started for you? People will send you down the wrong path. Don't be surprised that people will go out their way to make sure they send you down the wrong path while they go the other way. Pay attention to yourself, your awareness, be more intentional, okay? Because look, if you don't know yet, if you don't know that answer yet, that's where awareness begins, okay? So that's the live for today, and I'll be back on live, but of course, probably playing some sports or something like that, or going down to the square. It gets a little wild. I'm going to try to stay mic'd up, people, try to keep the mic on, but have an awesome lunch, and I'll see you guys later, okay? Bye.